Josh, was the U.S. threat to walk away from the Iran talks real, or is that a negotiating ploy?
Well, Jeff, all I can do is reiterate to you what our position has been, which is that we've been very clear, and when I say we, I mean the international community, the United States sitting at that table alongside our German, French, British, Russian, and Chinese counterparts, making clear to the Iranians that they need to make some specific commitments. And if they're unwilling to make those commitments, then yes, the international community would be in a position where we would be forced to consider alternatives to the approach that we have demonstrated so far. The President does continue to believe that diplomacy is the best way for us to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Getting them to make commitments on their own to shut down every path to a nuclear weapon and to agree to a set of intrusive inspections is the most effective way for us to handle this situation. But it requires the Iranians to make some serious commitments. And they have, those commitments at this point have not been finalized and agreed to yet. But that's something that we're hard at work on. And as long as we continue to make progress in pursuit of those commitments and those agreements, then we'll do it.
If diplomacy fails, what's the next step? Sanctions?
Well, there are. I think this is one of the reasons that the President has advocated pursuing diplomacy so aggressively in the first instance. That is to say that if, in the unfortunate event that diplomacy is not successful, we'll continue to have a wide range of options on the table. Those options include coordinating with the international community to put in place even tougher sanctions that would compel Iran to come back to the negotiating table or to be more serious about the discussions. There is, of course, a military option that's sitting on the table, and this is, again, in the unfortunate circumstance that we could find ourselves in, which is that we're not able to reach an agreement, then the President will have to consider that range of options, and he'll do so in close consultation with our P5+1 partners. The unity of the international community has been critical to the progress that we've made so far. But you certainly would also expect the President to consult members of Congress on this as well. I know that there are some members of Congress who have floated the proposition that the joint plan of action, the interim agreement that many Republicans initially criticized, could be one that could be extended. So there are a range of options that are available here, and but I don't want to get ahead of where we stand in the process right now, which is that talks are ongoing, and we continue to make some progress.
There seems to be a little bit of discrepancy from the people involved in the talks about where the disagreements lie and to what extent there are still disagreements. The Russian foreign minister said all key aspects have been agreed. Others in the room are not saying that. Can you clear that up?
Well, I think what I would observe is that if the agreement had been reached, we'd be having a different kind of conversation right now. I think that is a pretty clear indication, and one I'm willing to admit to, which is that there are gaps that still remain in terms of trying to reach an agreement. And that's why the talks are ongoing, and as long as those talks continue to be productive, we'll try and reach that diplomatic agreement.